Be live during the intro, Zach.
I don't know what you're talking about. Don't talk to me. I don't know how to do all these buttons. Hold on a second.
All right.
Oh, the music is on. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another amazing episode of Some Nobodies. If you don't know us, this is us. We're Some Nobodies. I am Zach. With me always is Dylan. And this week we have a mystery guest, which is great.
Hello.
Hello.
Otherwise, for the audio version, they wouldn't know I'm here.
For those that are just listening, please, Dylan, prove that you're here.
Hello.
Say something that's more like I couldn't just add into it.
My social security number is
Your current social.
my current. Oh, I change it every week.
Right, exactly. Okay. And mystery guest, can you please prove that you are also here?
It is currently March 13th, 2013. And I'm here. I'm a time traveler. And that's today, right? We are on the cutting edge of podcasts.
Yeah, I honestly just added that in post. I found a really old, kind of shitty podcast about maybe possible men masks. I have no idea. Okay, so obviously, considering how things went last week, I think it's time that we just kind of dive right into it. Mythical movie myths. Obviously, in our 27-part project that we're working on, what we're doing here at Some Nobodies is Mythical Movie Myths, the podcast where we unravel the tangled web of myths in cinema. I'm your host. My name is Zach. With me always is our Egyptologist, Dylan. Dylan Terry, how are you?
Good.
Yeah,
I'm doing well.
Doing well. He is via satellite from somewhere near Egypt to make sure that what we're about to talk about is accurate. And special guest, because of what we're going on with today, we have another Egyptologist. Mystery guest, please describe yourselves in 2 words.
From past.
Perfect. Now, if you don't know, this is new to us. This is episode 14 of Mythical Movie Myths. And this is a show which we dive deep into the world of movies to uncover the truth behind the myths they portray. Ancient gods and legendary heroes to folklore and fairy tale. Hollywood loves to draw inspiration from these timeless stories. But how often do they get it right?
Was that a question for the audience?
That is rhetorical. Today, we're taking a closer look at the 2016 film Gods of Egypt, a visual spectacle in which the grandiose depiction of gods and the epic battles. But just how accurate is it to the rich tapestry of Egyptian mythology? Did Horus really battle Set for the throne? Was Ra's nightly struggle against Apophis truly as it was shown on screen? And what's up with those gigantic mechanized deities? Hopefully, our mystery guest has a lot to talk about with this. Now, join us as we separate fact from fiction, shedding light on the fascinating truths behind these ancient tales and how they've been transformed or perhaps twisted by the silver screen. So grab your popcorn, settle in, and let's embark on this myth-busting journey together. Once again, this is episode 14 of 27. Welcome to Mythical Movie Myths. Wait, I thought that was going to come a little bit earlier. Oh. Now, the movie, once again, is Gods of Egypt. It was released in 2016. It takes significant liberties with Egyptian mythology for the sake of fantasy narrative. Now, here are the 7 key mythological inaccuracies. We have character representation, graphic and or structural elements, plot and narrative, romantic relationships, if any, depictions of the afterlife, physical appearance and casting, time period, and historical context. Now, when speaking backstage to our mystery guest, the things that they wanted to talk about most was the character representation. In fact, what they had the most to say, and I had to slow them down until we got live on camera, was about Set. The mystery guest, please, do you want to describe how you feel in your heart that Set should be depicted?
Well, as you know, I am an Egyptologist. I have traveled back in time to ancient Egypt and then to 2016 so I could compare what was really going on with what was going on in the movie. I have to say, the representation of Set, look, in the movie, Set obviously is depicted as a humanoid with those extra like queen ant wings, and he's got the laser beams that shoot out of his eyes. Now the only thing that's missing is the real Set does have the ant legs coming out of his torso in addition to the humanoid legs. And the laser beams actually get shot out of his ovipositor instead of his eyes. I guess since the movie felt like they needed to not show the insect genitals of an Egyptian god, they thought that it would be okay. Honestly, I don't know the amount of CG that's put into this movie. I don't know why they didn't just add those extra legs. It feels like it could have gone a lot better. I mean, the CG is perfect in this movie. Obviously, you can't tell the difference between what's real and what was added in by computers later. But yeah, it just, I can forgive the laser beam eyeballs. I can't forgive the ant legs. And there's 9 of them.
Yeah. That is quite distinction from how you worded this in your book. And I don't want to push this earlier than what you said or than when you want to say it, but in your book, Pharaoh's Pyramids and Papyrus and Egyptologist's Guide to Sensational Mysteries, you were quoted as, quote, Set the complex deity associated with storms, desert, and chaos, but he also has a protective roles to play. And that sounds very, almost distinctly different than what you're describing now. And I'm just curious why that is.
Well, what happened was I wrote that book before I built my time machine.
Okay.
So instead of going, the first thing I did obviously wasn't go back to when I wrote my book and changed the book. I did the things, and Gods of Egypt, my favorite movie. I've gone back, like I'll finish watching it and then I'll go back in time. 2 hours and 12 minutes, I believe, is the runtime. I'll go back 2 hours and 12 minutes so that I can start it again. It seems like the most important use of the time machine. I haven't gone back and done anything about Hitler. I haven't gone back and stopped 9/11. I haven't gone back and stopped Donald Trump from being elected president of the United States. What I decided to spend the energy on was to go back in time and watch Gods of Egypt over and over again. And unfortunately, the power source of the time machine is finite, and I did use all of it. So I'm sorry about all this stuff I did, but this movie is so good that I had to keep going back to see it. I needed to see it on the big screen, you know?
Oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. We're going to go ahead and skip some of these other characters. If you want to dive into the longer version, obviously on Patreon, we're going to have the extended cut, which we usually get to about 3.5 hours with the mystery guests and what an acclaimed author they are. They're going to bring a lot of elements to this. But Dylan, now I read once in a thesis that you wrote called "Mummies, Mysteries, and Midnight Camels: An Egypt Adventure" that you had some issues with the geographical structure elements. You wrote that, quote, the depiction of Egypt as having giant gods towering over humans is purely fictional. In mythology, gods and humans interact, but gods are not depicted as physically larger. Please expand on that.
Yes. Well, I'm glad you read that. I put a lot of effort into it. I worked very hard on those AI prompts to generate the entirety of that text. And I think my ability to craft those prompts puts me on equal footing of people who actually do the research and the work and sit down and write draft after draft after draft on their own with very little other machine input.
Okay.
Now that said, you want me to talk about, gods living with people, and that's fine by me. But I'm talking about machines, and I think it's very interesting that Gods of Egypt does not portray the historically accurate version of Egypt as portrayed in Michael Bay's hit film Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, where, of course, the Decepticons are, well, it's not so much the Decepticons at that point because they weren't called the Decepticons at that point in history, but several thousand years ago when the Transformers lived with humans on Earth and used the pyramids as giant energy harvesting machines to harvest energy for machines.
Okay.
And that movie very clearly shows machines and humans living together.
Wow, very good point. Now, mystery guest, you really had an issue with the romantic relationships in this. Now, I read earlier in a Facebook post that for some reason had a title, and that title was Tacos, Tutankhamun, and Tiaras, The Bizarre Tale of Mexican Masks and Egyptian Mysteries. You wrote that the movie induces romantic subplots that are not part of the original myths. Now, what was one of your favorite original myths when it comes to Egyptian mythology or any mythology?
I am a man of acceptance. I have gone back to so many time periods of this planet, and what I've found out is that everything cool that happens is always gay. All of the romantic relationships that are pictured in this movie are all heterosexual relationships, which goes against everything that we stand for in ancient Greece and Rome and Egypt. Yes, I've gone back to all of the gay places. So sometimes I get confused. You see, the chronotrons that we use during time travel sometimes mess up the brain. And I did just come back. I used my last I used my last remaining chronotrons to go see this movie again in the theater in 2016. So I'm still a little bit messed up. It's going to take me a little bit. By the time we're done with this podcast in 4 or 6 hours, I should be all right. But for right now, I forgot what time period we were talking about. We're talking about Egypt. So yeah, because of the anti-woke agenda, everything in this movie is too straight. It's too white, and it doesn't have enough insect legs.
Yeah.
Because during this time period, it was okay to be anti-woke. You didn't want things to be gay, but in reality, the Egyptian gods are all hermaphroditic. They can all mate with whoever they want to, in any way that they want to, in any configuration that they need to produce the different gods. If you want a god with, a horse body and a dog's head, there's ways to do that, but it's a very specific combination, usually involving the butt in some way. But yeah, the relationships in this, it's just like penis, vagina, let's go. Boring.
It's just boring. I've seen it many times.
Yeah.
So okay, so you used the last of your chronotrons to go to 2016 to watch this movie. You've been living a normal time span since 2016.
No. I come back. No. The Time Machine only does round trips.
Oh,
It's once you put it in, you can stay there for as long as you need to,
okay.
but it is going to come back. I could have just sat there since 2016. You know, we've been doing this podcast since what, 2009?
Yeah. I don't know military time, but yeah, I think so.
Yeah. But I guess I could have just relived, because there's some stuff that I said in those early episodes, the 2016, the 2017, the 2018s. There was a lot of misinformation that I put out during 2020 that I probably could have just lived through and redid all that.
Yeah.
But
you were on the cutting edge of QAnon, so it makes sense that you fell for most of that.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I knew the guy who started QAnon.
Yeah.
And he seemed like an upstanding citizen at first, but then it got a little bit weird. But I was already bought in by that point, so I had to stick with it, you know?
Yeah, sure. Well, talking about amazing historical time periods, Dylan, I read in an analog zine. Is it zine? Zine?
Zine.
Zine. Okay. I read once an analog zine that you titled "Down with Robots, Up with Pyramids: A Luddite's Love Affair with Ancient Egypt." That you had a lot of issues with the historical context of this movie, such as the film blends various elements from different time periods of all Egyptian mythology and history, and it just kind of creates a jumbled timeline that does not accurately reflect any specific area. Would you like to comment more on that?
I suppose. Now, that interview was given under duress, and I want to be very clear about that. It had been a very long day. I went home. They were in my living room with the lights off, and they did I flicked the lights on. They turn around the chair. They're like, "Hello, we're here to talk about Egypt." And I said, "Listen, I've just viewed Transformers 2 Revenge of the Fallen, so I'm ready to go. But you need to understand, I might not be super happy about this." Anyway, regardless about the theme overall, I think today that we're talking about is this mixture of analog and digital, of anachronistic pieces of history. Similar to the energy harvester hidden inside the pyramids in Transformers 2. And similar, of course, to the robotic animal forms portrayed in Gods of Egypt. I think they're very neat. I think they look cool. And they remind me of when I was a kid, and I would take my action figures, and I would smash them together, and I'd say they were fighting. And I think what the world needs more of now is that childlike wonder of what it's like to take two very large white people portraying Egyptian deities, have them transform into shiny chrome versions of winged animals, and smash them together as if they're pieces of plastic mass-produced from a Saturday morning cartoon. So, I suppose in essence I'm okay with it. At least my 9-year-old self is.
So well said. I'm excited for when we finally get down to the Transformers film that you keep referring to every single week, really. And I told you we would get to that chronologically, which is coming up very soon. I think that's part 19 of our 27 part series called Mythical Movie Myths. All right, yeah, that works. Anywho. Tune in next week to see how this goes, because Dylan loves Transformers. Mystery guest, do you have time to finish the rest of the show with us, or do you have some other time you need to be?
Nope, I am with you for the next hour or so, and I just have to reveal that it was me, Zach. It was me all along.
Damn it, Dylan. You bet money that it was Michael Colby, and I was like, there's no way. I've never seen him wear a mask before.
Well, I'm not paying up.
I was going to do this whole episode with this mask on.
Yeah, that seems
It
too
is
hot.
so fucking hot in my studio here.
That just seems way too hot. Okay, so yeah, that was a trial run of one of our new segments where I just splash a show at whoever's here and see how they handle it. I don't know why I got stuck on that movie, but I know how much Dylan likes it, so I wanted to throw it easy to
How much
him.
Dylan likes what? Transformers 2 Revenge of the Fallen?
I have a grotesque fascination with both of those movies. Because it's just very funny that Zach chose another weird sci-fi movie that misportrays Egyptian history, and I was like, I'm ready for this. This is great.
No, I love it, and I wasn't expecting to know how much into Transformers you are, and that's great. All right, now I wasn't planning on doing that segment earlier, but I did have some news. If you guys want to talk about that? I actually would just like to get your opinion on a couple of things. Mostly, Dylan, I'm not sure if you know how much of like the Lord of the Rings lore that you know. There's recently just got through something called War of the Rohirrim, Rohirrim,
Mhm.
which I think is the Horse Boys, right?
Yes.
Now, from what I understand, what Tolkien has said was that he doesn't really think that his book series can be done in film, and that's why originally he had the creators of, I think, the old Rudolph thing to make the cartoon, which is very good. He just thought that most of his projects should be animated with how he tells them. And they recently put out a couple screenshots of, because they decided to make this in the style of anime. And they put out a couple screenshots today. Here's one of them, which I thought looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
And here's another one. So obviously they're spending some time, they're building these characters up. What do you know about this time frame or anything about the War of Rohirrim?
Very little. Primarily my dad and I read Lord of the Rings together when I was very young. I've reread them once since. I have not read I tried reading the Silmarillion several times, didn't work out. It's like reading the Book of Genesis. It's so dry, and like good for anyone who does it, but no thank you. I have better things to do. I know that this movie is going to portray the start of Helm's Deep, or at least the guy who Helm's Deep is named after. Okay.
Yeah, Helm's Deep. Yeah.
All right.
That's the guy that it's named after.
Richard Helm.
Yes. Johnny Helms.
Yeah, because like in Lord of the Rings, there's towers and then there's deeps, right? There's like 7 towers and like 9 like worldly deeps, and then Helm's Deep is one of the most famous, I guess. So
something like that. Yeah.
Now, do you think that anime is the right style, or animated art is the right style for Tolkien?
I'm willing to give it a try. Rings of Power alternates between looking fine and looking cheap.
Yeah.
And I am pro adult animation. Like, I don't know. Sure, let's do it. Whether the movie's good or not is something else entirely.
Yeah.
This is adult animation, like hentai?
Yeah.
All right.
They go to Moria. They go to Moria, and that thing in the water is a lot more friendly.
Nice.
Well, at first, but I would say it's aggressive later.
It's not just a watcher at the gates this time.
That's true. Michael, do you know anything or care about Lord of the Rings at all?
I read The Hobbit on a fairly regular basis. I got through 1.5 of those Hobbit movies, and I watched each of the Lord of the Rings movies once, and started each one of the Lord of the Rings books and never finished them. Too many songs to read.
A lot of songs.
I couldn't do it.
Now, are you into the movies? Like, do you like the movies?
I like the movies a lot. Yeah.
And do you think that like would you just watch anything Lord of the Rings related, or would like an adult animation kind of hit you a little bit harder?
No, I do not watch anything Lord of the Rings just because it's Lord of the Rings. I played those Shadows of Mordor games. Very good.
They are very good.
And this looks like that Castlevania show, which was amazing. So it actually makes me a little bit more excited to watch the show. So I might watch this.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I like it. I have been liking like the wave of animation coming through. and how much more detail and kind of love you can see in most of it. Moving on. So a couple of weeks ago, to keep it in like the nerd sphere or whatever. A couple weeks ago, James Gunn recently put out like this image, which is an on-set photo, and apparently there is no computer effect in this. From what they said, like they said that this entire picture was shot by a camera on the set. Now, obviously, that probably means that like the background is like volume, so it's like a visual back there. But with this recent picture that came out, I think earlier, which is a set photo of David Cole's suite as Superman, James Gunn is getting a weird amount of flack about how the costume looks. And I was curious, like I know that you guys do watch superhero stuff, the good and the bad. How comic book accurate versus wearable do costumes have to be? Like how realistic do you need something to look?
I like the look of this one.
Yeah.
It's not desaturated. It doesn't look like it has. I think Marvel really made it so that all of these superhero costumes have to look like basketballs. It looks like basketball textures. They're always rubber dotted. This one looks textured, but it doesn't have. Well, maybe. Hold on. I'm getting real close to the camera here.
This is more clean,
okay.
I guess.
I mean, it looks good color-wise. I like the fit of it.
Yeah.
It looks like it looks like physical cloth, which again, Marvel has started just 100% CGI in all of their suits, and I'm like, stop it. Cut it out. I don't care about comic accuracy to a certain extent. I think if it's recognizable as a Superman outfit, regardless of like, I don't know, certain things, cool. I like that. I like that he has the briefs.
Yeah,
I
completely agree with that. Because you watch movies like Super or Kick-Ass, which are more ground-based and street level, and are supposed to be more on the realistic side. And obviously, if somebody's making these suits, they have to have that crinkly kind of whatever look to them. You're right. The Marvel ones do seem more like it's made of some kind of like futuristic athletic wear. But I kind of like it. I'm not really sure. Michael, what do you think?
I think it looks fine. I mean, it's Superman. What are you going to do with Superman's look?
Yeah,
it looks. I don't know. I actually don't want my superhero costumes to look like they do in the comics because it never looks cool. It always looks cheesy to me.
Yeah.
To see these brightly colored suits and stuff. And then either they get dirty and that looks weird, or they stay clean and that looks weird. I don't know. Superhero movies Marvel has ruined them for me. There's just so many of them, and they all look the same, and they all follow the same plot structure, and it's just really boring to me. Like I've been desensitized to huge amounts of like destruction and violence because they make it so like sanitary in those Marvel movies. So yeah. But James Gunn is the only one who makes superhero movies that I enjoy. So I have, I'm going to go see these DC movies.
What do you have like a favorite? What would you say is your favorite superhero costume so far of all time?
In the movies?
Yeah.
I think Deadpool. I think Deadpool's costume allows it to look like it does in the comics, but still like fit in the movie. I liked those original X-Men costumes because they just looked like what I felt like superheroes would actually wear in real life.
Yeah.
And probably Aquaman, but I just want to watch Jason Momoa in anything that he's, in or not in.
I also like Deadpool. Yeah. But I think that's primarily because they were willing to like give him the expression on the eyes. Like they were willing to go like let him do that. I don't know. I like Doctor Strange. I like the Doctor
Oh,
Strange
yeah.
outfit. And part of that is just because you could put that character outfit, that specific costume, in kind of any wizard movie, and I'd be like, it's a good looking wizard outfit.
Yeah, that is a good
Like
looking wizard.
it looks like a cloth robe. He's got the high collar. I like the collar.
Yeah, there's a bunch of shit on it. Yeah.
I think the Eye of Agamotto is fine. I'm not a huge fan of it in general as a design, but I think everything about that outfit looks good. I like the big thick cloth belt. Like, yeah. I dislike all of the MCU Spider-Man outfits. On the opposite end of the scale, I dislike all of the who's the actor from
Tom Holland?
Yeah, from Uncharted, star of the hit movie Uncharted.
Oh, Mark Wahlberg.
Yes, that's where everybody knows him from.
Yes, I dislike all of the Tom Holland costumes in those movies. They're too sleek and they're very clearly CGI generated entirely.
Yeah, and
wait, is that the guy from Chaos Walking?
Yes.
And they do a weird thing with those Spider-Man eyes, like you said about the expressions. They do a weird thing where, like, I don't know if I actually heard it or if if I just imagined it, but I feel like there's a very slight mechanical whir when the eyes go.
It.
That fucking is so stupid.
Unnecessary.
So dumb. All right, enough with superhero stuff. I'm not sure if you guys know this or not, but the world's ugliest dog was finally named this year.
Aww.
And it is a 8-year-old Pekingese, and his name is Wild Thing.
Please get that off of my screen.
Yeah, that is not an ugly dog. Its hair is long. It's very clearly cared for.
Ugh, I hate it.
Aw, look at that little tongue.
Look
He only
at
has
that
one
tongue.
eye.
Oh, it's gross. Yeah.
Look how
Wild
flat its
Thing.
face is.
His name's Wild Thing. Come on, it's crazy. All right, so consuming. I'm curious. What we don't talk as much as we used to, guys. We don't talk anymore. Remember that song? We don't talk anymore. We don't talk.
Ben Folds 5.
I think so. But I'm curious. What are you guys watching? What are you into? What are you listening to? What are you reading? What are you playing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?
Well, I mean, as of last Friday, I've been doing kind of nothing except playing Shadow of the Erd Tree. I actually was like breezing through it. I was like wondering where all this discourse about how hard it is came from. And I got to a boss that has killed me probably 37 times in the past 2 days.
Hell yeah.
And it's starting to drive me insane.
Cool. Yeah, it sucks. I bought that game the day it came out. And I bought season pass, and I spent like so much money on it. And I played it for like 3 hours and was like, I'm not smart enough or good enough to play this game. I genuinely cannot figure this. I was stuck in that first cave for so long, like, where do I go? And then I get out, I just get slaughtered. And then watching Dylan play for a little bit, I'm like, this looks really cool and really fun. I don't know why I'm so not good at this game. But I saw that DLC came out, but my Xbox is completely broken. So I guess I have it, and I guess it's good. Dylan, you're playing it too, right?
I'm not playing Shadow of the Erd Tree. I don't have the time right now to dive into Elden Ring again. I would like to at some point, and I plan on it. Because I like FromSoft games. I really, really liked Elden Ring. I never beat it. I think where did I stop? I stopped at Fire Giant.
Yeah, it's about 2/3 of the way.
Yeah.
through.
Yeah,
Cool.
so I didn't quite get all the way through. I really liked what I was doing. At a point in the future, I would really like to get back into it. But that is not now. And probably not tomorrow.
Are you listening to anything or reading anything in your spare time?
I am playing Caves of Qud, QUD.
Oh,
it is a current game. It's not quite. It's an early access. It's building up to 1.0 release. It is a roguelike, top-down, old-school, open-world, randomly generated, like old-school, like NetHack style roguelike.
right on.
Yeah, it is weird. Really deeply simulated like physics, really deeply like simulated world stuff. It reminds me a lot of playing Dwarf Fortress Adventure Mode, which I never super got into, but there's something about this one that's very fun. It might be that you can generate with like mutations and stuff like that, and like water is like kind of a currency because you spawn on the edge of a desert, and your basic quest is to go into the desert and find the caves of Kud.
That's cool.
Kud? I don't know how it's pronounced. I've never heard anyone say the name.
It looks in my head like it sounds gross.
Yeah, it's very fun. And it's a lot of like I'm wandered into the desert and I suddenly ran into a raiding party of people and they shot me up. And then I restarted and it's like, yeah, all right, this is kind of neat.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm having a good time. It's fun to explore like NetHack. I don't know if either of you guys played it. Michael, it's probably more closer to your style.
I played it, but it's not really my style.
Yeah,
I'm not smart enough to play those games.
NetHack is crazy, but the famous example I can think of from NetHack is if you're carrying a basilisk egg in your inventory and you walk down a set of stairs and trip and you fall and you break the basilisk egg, your character gets petrified and you die.
Cool.
It's that kind of simulation.
Yeah, that's cool.
And it's a lot of stuff that you find out while playing, and that's what I really like. I like the discovery angle of it. So I'll hop on, I'll play for an hour or two.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah. What about you, Zach?
I'm playing medieval Dynasty. I don't know why. I'm like it's one of those just complete open world. Like you're looking for uncle, and you kind of wake up and you're just in this area. And it's like, oh man, it's about to get winter, and you gotta build a cabin, and then you gotta build like a couple houses, and you gotta like find somebody to like, will cut all your wood down for you, and you might be romantically involved with that person, and then you get married to them, and you get babies, and yeah, it's pretty boring. But for some reason, like those weird like pseudo survivalist games, like I just kind of fall into them so mindlessly, and I'm into it.
Sounds kind of neat.
Yeah, I did recently find this YouTuber. His name is Jeffiot, Jeffiot, and he recently scientifically rated all of the torture devices in all the Saw films using a very rigid method, and I thought that was great. And it's like a 3-hour-long video, and I've watched it like twice now. And that guy's so cool. He's like Swedish, I think. He has a very interesting eye for some movies.
Oh, if you're gonna talk about YouTube stuff that we've been watching.
I mean, sure, why not?
There's this guy, Tom Walker, Australian guy with one of my favorite podcasts, BigSoftTitty.png. He's playing through Grand Theft Auto 4, where all the car speeds are turned up 999%.
Hell yeah.
It is the funniest thing ever to watch because like he'll walk out into an area and you just see these cars zoom, 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 and they're like crashing into each other and flying off of roads and like just cremating like pedestrians and also his character. And it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Tom Walker.
Okay.
What a very neutral name.
What a very normal name for a YouTuber.
This is not a normal. It's his podcast is with him and Demi Lardner, who are both Australian stand-up comics, and it's one of the most obscene and hilarious things you'll ever see.
That's cool.
It reminds me of when Saints Row 3 was still around, or big, and you could have in-game cheat codes. Like they would have a series of cheat codes preloaded, and one of them was Zombie Apocalypse. It replaces all the pedestrians in the game with zombies. Hostile to you, cool. I would download mods to increase the pedestrian count because I wanted there to be a lot more people in the city. And I would activate the zombie mode because I was like, a lot of zombies, that's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about the in-game zombie cheat is that it only affects hard code spawned pedestrians. So I load it up and I'd leave the little base tower and I'd walk out and there would be pedestrians added by the mod fighting zombies that were replacing the base pedestrians. It was incredible. It was great. And the thing about Saints Row 3 is that it's so over the top that most of these pedestrians are armed anyway.
Yeah.
So you'd be driving through the city of pedestrians like firing at zombies with like, you know, mostly pistols and machine guns. Every once in a while you get one with a bazooka.
So I love all the Saints Row except for that last one. The last one was just so weirdly boring, I think.
Oh, the reboot kind of thing.
I liked that last one.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was fine. It was a reboot because once you do what they did in 4 and Get Out of Hell, like you can't keep building on that. You had to reset down to a normal level, and I enjoyed the character stuff in that one, and I mean it was weird enough.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I was expecting something more than just kind of a remake of 1 again.
Yeah.
To me, it just wasn't as big or as exciting. All right, next segment. So now we're going to be talking stream. And what we do here is we kind of reflect a little bit on one of our favorite shows we've ever done called Talking Upstream. You can see that on our YouTube channel. We did 54 episodes of this show, and in that show, what we did was we created 2 new concepts that we thought were new at the time. I think they all were new to us. I know they were new to us. And we would pitch them to somebody. They would choose what it is, and we'd work on it together. Last show, we decided that Deadbeat was the better of the 2 we talked about. This week, the dice rolled up number 41 and number 8. So next on the bracket is going to be 41, which I believe our guest star on that was Tiffany Mosher. And that winner of that episode was Bad Wishes Support Group. And I don't know a lot about that, although we did take a lot of notes for it. And number 8, which is a personal favorite of mine, winner of episode 8 was Forced Body Swap, which I think turned into Give Me Back.
Yeah.
And that's probably the project that we've worked the hardest on.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of time, unfortunately, during COVID, but we actually hired a director, hired a cinematographer. We hired and we cast actors for this. We had a shooting schedule. We had a mini budget for it and filmed a short film based on this project. But Dylan, do you remember anything about Bad Wish Support Group?
I'm looking at the notes right now. Not until I looked at this.
Yeah. It struck no chord in my brain, and I didn't want to look at it before seeing if it meant anything to you whatsoever.
I had vaguely remembered it when you said what it was, but we've also already on this show talked about Super Empowered, which was a bad superpower support group. So I was like, the space in my brain that I can save for comical deconstruction of therapy support group for something bad that's supernatural is occupied by Super Empowered. It's very specific, but it's there.
Oh.
Yes. Hello? Hello?
But I can hear you.
Wait, Zach, can you hear me?
I can't hear anything currently. Give me 1 second.
Oh my god. All right, Michael, we're filling time.
Okay.
We're burning the clock. Let's do it.
All right. So
what do you got?
I want to talk about Elden Ring.
Okay. Yeah, no. Let's do it. Dylan and Michael talk from soft.
So I do think that Elden Ring is better than any of the Souls games. It's like my middle of the pack one. And there's some weird stuff in this Shadow of the Erdtree. I'm in the beginning, it's like really hard because it has a separate level up for that area specifically.
Interesting.
So until you start getting the materials to update your character to the specific area, it is really hard.
Okay.
Wait, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Then this is good enough. Wait, what were you guys talking about?
We're talking about Elden Ring.
We're talking about Elden Ring. So I blasted through about 9 or 10 bosses.
Okay.
1, 2, 3 tries. I get up to this fucking lady with a scorpion tail and centipede pincers.
Ooh.
And she's like Melania
Mm-hmm.
with the scarlet rot and the fast rolling attacks and the jump up into the sky and then jump down and there's a bloom. And then she has 2 tails that she can just whip the shit out of you with. And she has killed me so many times. I'm so mad. I'm like sitting there like, what the like I'm like, even if I'm having a hard time with a boss, I'm like, all right, this is what I have to do. Like I can figure out what I have to do. But this is one of those where it's like, I have no idea. I've lost to this lady like 50 times and I have no idea what I'm looking for.
All right.
So if you have any tips on how to defeat this scorpion / centipede boss, email somenobodies@gmail.com and Zach will get me those emails.
Yeah, I'll definitely send it right through.
Romina,
that sounds right.
Okay.
She is horrible. And she's not like, she's not a she's not a boss that you can skip. She's not like
one of those. She's like,
yeah. And there's also no trophies. So my platinum stays no matter what. But I do want to get through this thing.
This might be a controversial statement. And I don't mean this to sound like a personal attack. But as far as tips go, I think what you might need to hear is that this might just be a skill issue.
It might be.
And you need to get good.
I have been told to get good.
Okay, good. Then I want to join those legions of people who are, wow, they are pouring into the chat. Just comment after comment.
Yeah. Michael, get good.
Get good.
Get good.
I have been,
Is your quality build not carrying you through the hard boss, Michael? Do you need to enchant your weapons with some kind of element?
Yes, that's exact. I do a quality build, and I have been enchanting with lightning. So fuck.
Sounds like you just need to do with Giant Dad.
All right. Well, since we're getting to a little bit of technical difficulties on my end, did we figure out what wins between Give Me Back or Bad Wish Support Group?
It's Give Me Back. We can't remember the other.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, we have one room for support humor.
Yeah. Is this a double elimination tournament, or
what does that mean?
It means that if you lose, you go again in a loser's bracket.
No.
Okay, that's fine.
No, that's right.
All right.
So we do have some questions from our viewers. Now, I did pose this as ask questions to Dylan and Michael Colby if he shows up, but think about them as doomsday preppers.
Is doomsday what?
If you guys are doomsday preppers,
okay,
you're a prepper for doomsday. I can't believe how poppy this microphone is. I will fix that by next time.
All right.
Okay, so a lot of people on Twitch, a lot of people on Instagram. This is pretty bad, isn't it? Is it too hard to hear?
I'm picking up what you're laying down.
You're under stand up.
Marklar.
Dylan, do you want to read these? You have
sure.
The doc. Yeah.
Questions for Zach or Michael from people on various social media websites. From Misty Queefington. Oh,
they're all for Michael.
Oh, they're all for Michael.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Questions for Michael.
And it's a good thing I came.
From Misty Queefington. What event or scenarios do you believe are most likely to necessitate doomsday preparation? Remember, this is primarily a comedy podcast.
I feel like I'm preparing for I think a zombie scenario is probably the most likely. Some sort of mutated disease made by people who will not and cannot protect themselves from viruses. And I feel like no matter how much preparation I do, no matter how many bomb shelters I build, no matter how many buckets of food that are going to last forever, I store, I feel like I'm not going to be able to make it down to my bomb shelter because I'm old and slow. And so I guess I'll just be zombie food.
Or a zombie.
But an ineffective zombie because of how slow I am.
You could be a crawler. Hang out in a bush, wait for a hiker.
I would like to be one of those guys, like there's always those like if I gave you $10 million, would you have a snail that just followed you around, and if the snail touches you, you die?
You get a cup.
Yeah, I would just figure out one person to like follow around, and it wouldn't matter where they were going. I would just like, because I would probably be missing my legs, so I would just like army crawl my torso dripping organs behind me.
Oh, you could be an outhouse zombie, like.
Ooh,
It's like I don't know that there's a zombie in here, and they open the door and you fall out and get them.
Or inside of the outhouse, like in that, what was that, Cold Dead?
Yeah,
there were Nazi zombies and they were in like Siberia or something.
Red snow.
And then some people fucked in that outhouse after the dude shit, and he did not wipe himself or wash his hands.
Well, at least they don't.
And it's the only thing I can remember about that movie.
It's probably for the best.
Yeah.
All right, good question. Let's see. What do we have next? We're gonna go to the next one. What are the essential items or supplies you believe everyone should have for basic preparedness? This is from Benoit's Ghost Fam. Like the little like Louisiana style fried donut holes, right? Benoit's.
Yes.
I thought it was like the wrestler for some reason.
I think what you need is a generator for power.
Okay.
You're gonna put that outside of your bomb shelter, but you want to no lights in there because you don't want to use up too much power, because you are going to be powering let's say a 37-inch LCD television, 4K of course, with your PlayStation 5, because you got to get good at these From Software games during the zombie apocalypse. So I guess buckets of food, generator, 37-inch TV, PlayStation 5.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah.
Where you can play all of the FromSoft games.
Do you think that's enough to last you the rest of your life, or until society rebuilds in a way that is vaguely recognizable but clearly inspired by ancient tropes?
As far as food goes or entertainment goes, because right now you got Demon Souls, you got Dark Souls, you got Bloodborne, you got Dark Souls 2, you got Dark Souls 3, you got Elden Ring,
Sekiro?
You got Sekiro,
okay.
You got Armored Core.
Yeah,
that's plenty to keep you occupied as far as entertainment goes. So it's just going to be probably get a solar powered generator to like back up your gas powered generator. So, and then the food buckets, they're supposed to last forever. They'll probably be rotten by the time you open them, because that's the kind of scam that those food buckets are. But there'll probably be something you can eat for a long time. You have your family members in there. You can take them out one by one.
Sure.
So I think you should be all right. Until society rebuilds itself in a Mad Max sort of thing where the rich get to hoard all of the resources and just dole them out to the poor peasants as they see fit.
Okay. And I think, one more, Zach, you think so?
Yeah, that's up to you completely.
Yeah. Let's see. We got. Wow. Let me just. All right, from Randy Knucklebuster. How do you stay informed about potential threats or global events that could impact your preparation?
Let me answer this as if I were Zach Wiseman. The news that I watch is no. What you want to
Insightful.
do is you want to get on the QAnon.
Insensitive. Really?
You want to go on the QAnon boards of 4chan. You want to get on the subreddit for r/Infowars. You want to get on r/Marjorie Taylor Greene and get the real news, because otherwise you're getting mainstream media stuff and they are making you afraid, but they're not making you afraid of the right stuff. They're making you afraid of people with guns. They're making you afraid of the wrong countries. Russia is our friend. They'll never attack anyone without being provoked.
Yeah.
You have to worry about the mercury that they're putting in the vaccines that are making us gay. And you have to worry about how China is taking all of our jobs away.
Still figuring out the directing thing, huh? Yeah.
I think you're doing a great job.
I think that's all we got.
but yeah, honestly, make sure you filter all of your water, because the fluoride is making us dumb.
Michael, if anybody wants more of this, where can they find you?
You can find me at This Bizarre Adventure, where me and B. Highland from No Time to Binge talk about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. You can also hear 2 complete seasons of Jack Billings Presents if you look that up. And I am currently working on a mini series while we are getting the 3rd season up and running of Jack Billings Presents. So there will be more Jack Billings content very, very soon.
Awesome. I'm going to work on my microphone issue and all these technical difficulties. Do you have anything?
No.
Testing. Are we?
Oh, it's still going. I don't know where
I'm
I'm not sure where the